Hello, everyone. Rurikhan here coming at you with another episode of the Third Fleet Podcast. This is episode 43, and we're recording after the TGS showcase like we said we would. I have with me, naturally, Gaijin, the man, the myth, the legend. How are you doing, sir? You having a good time?
Breaking the sun, that's what I'm doing. Now, I'm feeling a little under the weather today, but I'm in good spirits, so it's a good day.
That's
and we're going
good
into the
hear.
weekend, and that is always a good thing. You know what I really enjoy are those bot accounts on Twitter that like tweet the same thing once every week, and you've got like the Thank God It's Friday account, and you got like the Yakuza dancing like to It's Friday from Yakuza games, the disco one. Then you've got the Ladies and Gentlemen, the weekend, like with James Bond, what's his Daniel Craig saying it. Do you ever see any of those accounts? They just tweet out the same thing on the same day every single week. It's just bot set up. It's so great.
I've sing one, which is the Wednesday one, which is like, Captain, it's only Wednesday. It's something about like, oh my God, this week has been really rough. And then it's just it's from Tintin, the French thing. Is,
Tintin, yeah.
And then Tintin just goes, Captain, it's only Wednesday. It's just like sitting there.
I mean, we're humans, so we like patterns and we like regular, things to be regularly scheduled. So those tweets actually ground me quite a bit. They actually remind me what day of the week it is, which is kind of nice because I often don't know.
You don't know what day of the week it is.
Oh my God, things blur. It's crazy.
I can imagine like you just waking up tomorrow because the day is Friday. So Gaijin just wakes up tomorrow. Yuna, it's time to go to school. She's like,
I've done that. I've done that.
You did.
She once woke up and went to school when I was still asleep, and then she came back and said, "There's no school. It's Saturday today." I didn't even stop her because I didn't know.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyways, no, I'm in. Tokyo Game Show was last night for me. It was today.
It was actually
probably.
It was yesterday for me. It was yesterday at around lunchtime, and it was like I said, it was a really good time for the show to happen. We had an interesting stream before because everybody was super excited. We're talking about, oh man, maybe they'll give us underwater combat. I mean, we're talking about underwater combat, but in the context of like Monster Hunter 6, obviously. Not really for Sunbreak. I wouldn't expect them to bring underwater for Sunbreak, but we're talking about that. We're talking about Legaia, Chris. Most of us were going like, oh man, almost 100%. We're getting Gore Magala revealed today. It was like, oh man, they're going to show us all of these different things today. And then those things didn't really happen.
Yeah, I'm actually happy I had a day to sleep on this because my initial reaction, if you follow me on Twitter, was actually that of disappointment. But I know why I set myself up for that and why I do feel Capcom's slightly responsible for that. But but I was able to go through it all later and go, like there was a lot. I was not disappointed by what I saw. Everything I saw was great. I was disappointed by what I didn't see, right? And so the question comes, is that on me for having these expectations and hopes, or was there any reason that I was baited onto hyping this up? Because we are still quite a ways away from the release of Sunbreak, so
there's still plenty of time for them to reveal stuff, and I guess they didn't want it to. They didn't want it to blow their wad initially, but it's like, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know me, I try to follow things, but sometimes I miss things, particularly because you in Japan, you get to see more stuff than I do. But wasn't there a tweet where they said, oh, we have a fan favorite, like they kind of hyped that up as a big deal, didn't they?
So this is kind of a weird thing. I think this was a version control mistake. In that they had the Tokyo Game Show website set up for Capcom, right? And on there, they were talking about the program. And the English and Japanese were very straightforward. They just said, look forward to hearing a little bit more about Sunbreak, which is great. But the European languages, I don't know. I think it was a version control issue or something because their text was different. The European languages all went on this huge spiel about, we get to see some, reveals of some returning fan favorites or really like well-known and loved monsters, and
they were hyping it up.
Some was plural, some was not plural, and the thing is, I'm looking at this now in retrospect, I'm like, maybe they thought they were going to do that, or maybe they just wrote it because they thought, because the crab is cool, okay, like face it, Shogun's awesome, but maybe they said, guys, don't write it like that because it's going to get the wrong impression, and they just forgot to change it because they didn't change it. And so for European languages, it hinted at what I thought was going to be like Gore Magala.
Yeah,
so it's like That's strike number one. Like, that's on them. Like, I don't know why they kept that European text, but they did. And so that just led to more self-hyping, right? And it's kind of like, you can't hype up Shogun, and he comes off better anyways as a surprise. Like, oh yeah, the crabs are back. Like, that's cool. Like, it's legitimately cool. Yeah, especially because his longsword is a scythe, and that goes with the whole gothic horror theme. It's perfect.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I instantly brought up. Hey, all of you longsword main, just like, guys, gonna get your scythes this time around for sure. Oh yeah, baby. So it's like, but the thing was, because of the way that they communicated the event, right? I hyped up myself to a frenzy, 100%. I was like, dude, there's going to be major announcements. You hyped yourself up to a frenzy, which is something that we tend not to do if we know that the event is not even going to, reveal that much. And then the problem was, because I was hyped, I go into my stream and I'm hyped. Like, I start my stream 30 minutes ahead of the event so that everybody can come in and hang out. And like, not only I'm hyped, everybody's getting hyped off of me as well. We're all getting hyped together. And then we get there and it's like, oh, here's Arthur from Ghosts and Goblins, and here's Shogun Cianator. There were cool things
we'll walk through
about
all the announcements, but I want to talk a little bit more about the hype leading up to it, though, because it's such an important context. Because I do come off, I think, as being a hypocrite, because I did call out people during E3 when they had their showing and they were just talking about stuff, and they showed off stories too, and it was really cool, but they weren't showing like a new game announcement, right? And there was no necessary hype up into it or anything. So I felt that some kind of people were expecting too much. And I stated as such. And now it kind of looks like, hey, you did the same thing, buddy. And I did. Yeah, exactly. There is a part of that makes me a hypocrite, and I will admit that. And I have to own that. But I do want to make some excuses here. One, I think, imagine how much better this Tokyo Game Show would have came off if they didn't do the Nintendo Direct. It's a difficult situation, right? Because I know that if they didn't, then people wouldn't be looking at the Tokyo Game Show because it's Tokyo Game Show, right?
Yeah.
But all they had to do was say, hey, there's going to be some a brand new something you Rise fans are not going to want to miss, or just they could find ways to get the West to look at Tokyo Game Show without having to be at Nintendo. The problem is they announced, like, if Sunbreak was announced at TGS, it would be a 11 out of 10 win. It would have been awesome.
100%.
And we'd all be like, oh man, and there's like so many more months to go, so they only just teased it. That's great. I can't wait. The problem is that they went and they showed 99% of what they had, or wanted to, not what they had, what they wanted to show at Nintendo's Direct, which was awesome, by the way. But then they also had the mistake, I think, of calling it a teaser trailer. So when you call it a teaser and then say, okay, guys, look forward to Tokyo Game Show.
Yeah, exactly. Expect
that means that was just a teaser, which means we're going to get the full trailer at Tokyo Game Show. And the thing is, they have an amazing track record of doing huge news blowouts at TGS when they are announcing a new game. So, like, we would have expected to know a little bit about where the new village is going to be. We would expect to hear some more keywords, some more about the theme. Instead, they just said, hey, here's the director. You saw the preview. Look forward to more. And I was like, what the hell? It's almost like they weren't planning on announcing it in Nintendo, and then for some reason, someone decided or pressured them to say, no, you got to go out at Nintendo. And they did. And it's like,
I still think that Nintendo Direct gave him like a bigger impact, right? Because it's a Nintendo Direct. People tune in for Nintendo Directs. And you yourself have said that like TGS has been kind of like going a little bit downhill in terms of like getting news and stuff like that. Like you said, this is a great event for you to hang out with friends if you have people coming over to Japan. But, to actually get news reveals and stuff like that, it hasn't really been the case in a while. So Capcom probably waited that out, and they went like, well, there's not that much hype around TGS anymore, so let's just announce the thing at Nintendo and then talk a little bit more about it for TGS. It's just, it felt like because of that, they didn't have enough to reveal at TGS.
Yeah, so they shouldn't have called it a preview. They should have just said it's the, announcement trailer.
I mean,
what they should have did is just said and then say at TGS we're going to have news about Rise, we're going to have news about stories 2, and we're going to have some cool live performances, and that's it. And then at the end, they could surprise us and say, hey, I know we just announced it, so like we're not quite ready to show you everything we're working on, but we're going to give you that one more thing, and we're going to tell you the name of they're going to show the trailer one more time. We're going to get the name of the Elder Dragon, and we're going to get a reveal of Shogun. It would have been so much better. So if their marketing's listening, like that's my idea.
There would have been better ways of getting away with what they had to show players at that event. The problem was the way that they did it, like we said, kind of led us to hype ourselves up into a frenzy because we were expecting a lot more to be announced than confirmed, and there just wasn't as much as we were expecting there, and that was ultimately the main problem.
Yeah. So I think that's the subcontext. But let's you have notes, I think. Let's walk through what they did announce and show.
So I actually
don't know if the English. I haven't seen the English stream, so I'm going to tell you that. So I think the order was different because I saw somebody saying like the English stream ended with the rock version of Ibushi. We had that in the middle of the stream, so I don't.
The rock version of Ibushi. What the hell is the rock?
Yeah, they had a live. They had a live performance of a rock and like a metal version of Ibushi's theme song.
In the actual,
middle, not the end, though.
Yeah, in our musical performance part, it was at the end for us. They finished the musical.
But the musical performance part wasn't the end of the stream, right?
No. So the musical.
Okay. So I just misread it.
It was at the middle. It was at the middle of the showcase.
So walk us through. Sorry about
it's
that.
like I actually put up a video if you guys are curious, just getting like a quick summary. So that is up in the channel. But anyway, so
nice
they start.
Concise. I like it.
Yeah, I tried making it as short as possible because I know that people nowadays don't always have the time to look at like 1 hour streams and whatnot. But so the very first thing that they talked about when they opened up was the next Capcom collab, which was Ghosts and Goblins. I didn't expect it, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I mean, it's not as cool as Akuma to me personally because I don't really have a background in Ghosts and Goblins. Like I think I might have played.
It's niche,
Ghost. Yeah. And here's the thing, this is something that always confused me, and maybe you can help me. Is there a game called Ghouls and Goblins, or am I crazy? You don't know.
That is the name, right?
English. The name in English is Ghosts and Goblins, and for some reason, I swear to God,
okay. Well,
I swear to God, to me in my head, it's always been Ghouls and Goblins. It just rolls more off the tongue. Because Ghouls and Goblins rolls more off the tongue because you have an L in Ghouls and an L in Goblins. So it's Ghouls and Goblins. Ghosts and Goblins doesn't sound...
That's a very thing.
Yeah, but to me, Ghosts and Goblins almost sounds like the knockoff version of Ghouls and Goblins. But it turns out that Ghosts and Goblins is the actual... It always confused me because I never really played this game all that much.
I love the theme song, though, for it. Oh, yeah, I've played Ghosts and Goblins. I've never beaten the original, I'll admit it. I've never been able to, and that is a hard-ass game. But they did release I'm not a huge follower of the series, but they did release, I remember, a game on the PSP that I played, and I really enjoyed it, and I beat that one. And I thought that was cool. It's just like one of those old arcadey games, it's got a kick-ass soundtrack, and it's just quirky as hell, and you either like it or you don't. But the theme song is great, and I can't wait if they use that in the quest. Like if we hit a din, 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 din,
I think they will because they had the
so
Akuma
good.
soundtrack for the Street Fighter collab.
And that theme was jamming.
Yeah,
damn.
It was really good.
Like even Yuna was like, "This music is good." I'm like, "Yeah, it is." Holy shit! Because I don't even know who Akuma is.
You don't know who Akuma is?
Well, I think it's I've heard and seen of him, but I've never played the versions of the game with him in it. My last major Street Fighter was Street Fighter 2 Alpha. Street Fighter 2 Ultra for the Genesis. Yeah. I haven't touched Street Fighter since then. So that was a jamming song. That was cool. But the thing is they seem to be doing the same amount of care that they did, right? Like they get new ending animations. We got new skins of the kunai being the lances.
The kunai always get a little bit of a change, which I think is cool.
But his face is so funny. There's one thing when they did what was it, Claire and especially Sakuya?
Claire and Leon.
Or Sakuya from Street Fighter and Iceborne.
Oh yeah.
She looked creepy as hell to me. Like
Sakura?
her face, it was scary. I found
like her.
I thought the face looked freaky. I don't know why, but
dude, I just have to say, when it comes to Sakura, like thick thighs save lives. It is what it is.
Oh, they do. I want a girl to kick me and kick me hard, and she'd be a
step
one
on me
to do it.
Lady Dimitriescu, right?
Well, I'm more into the daughter, so I'm more like bite me. So.
Okay.
So I'm very interested to see if we get some collab in Sunbreak where we can get to dress up as the three witches. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
the daughters.
But
that'd be cool.
One of the things that someone in my chat brought up was like, in Ghosts and Goblins, whenever you get hit, I think Arthur loses pieces of his armor. So they were saying whenever you take a hit in this, you should lose a piece of your armor until your hunter's just like Arthur. Yeah, Arthur in his boxers. Like, I think that would actually
that would be
really
awesome.
Yeah. But I don't think they're going to do that.
Did you catch the ending that they had the princess be the Palico? The
Palico, yeah.
They had it was so funny. So, like, I love it. I thought that, and the face looks so comical and so out there that it works for me. I know there's people who don't like these things because they feel that the jokey stuff sort of takes them out of, like, the world, and I get that, and that's a valid opinion to have. But I personally love the goofy ass stuff, like the warning shark signs and the Ace Attorney giant finger pointing things that they had in the previous games. Like, this goofy stuff, I love. And so, yeah, I think them celebrating their franchises, they should keep this up. It's great.
Yeah. But another thing that they announced, which, was a little bit sad, was that this was going to be the last Capcom collab. So they're kind of like wrapping things up with Rise. That's the way that I feel like they've been wrapping things up with Rise for a while, but they've still been like, okay, here's another collab we're doing. Here's another thing. And now they're kind of really just kind of like, okay, guys, this is kind of the end. And a lot of people are not particularly happy about that. And I understand. I want to make sure that people know that both you and me, we understand, like, people wanted more, people wanted an end game. We get it. We're empathetic.
Well, we didn't even get the the Resident Evil
collab or a Devil May Cry, which is what I would want. Yeah.
I don't know if they're just saving those things for Sunbreak because they're very themed to it, right? Like the whole like gothic badass capes and stuff. Like, it all works. Everything that they didn't feature outside of Ace Attorney works really good for Sunbreak, but even so, it's disappointing, right?
Yeah, of course. At the end of the day, you still want more content. There's a lot to be said whether or not this was their original design intention for Rise, or whether it was just like a consequence of developing during COVID, right? We don't exactly know whether or not this is what they intended for the game, or if it's like, hey, look, this is what we were able to do. And, at the end of the day, one of the things that I do think is important to emphasize, at least for me, I think it's important, is like, look, I got 500 hours out of the game. And I think that if I had gotten 100 hours out of the game, let's say I wasn't creating content, I probably would have gotten less, right? I wouldn't have played it as much as I did. But let's say if I was to just get 100 hours out of the game, which is what I got on my first playthrough, where I took my time and just like really did everything that I wanted at the pace that I wanted, is like, I'm still happy about my purchase. That's what I'm getting at. And I can understand that a lot of people expect a whole lot more because that's just what they've gotten used to it by Monster Hunter. But I still think that Rise is, at the end of the day, a value proposition. Would I like to have more like difficulty stuff to challenge me? Something more in line with Alatreon, Fatalis. Yeah. Sure. But at the same time, a lot of people complained about those as well, and even review bombed the game on Steam during those phases. I think the point you're making, which I agree with 100%, is there's two different we wanted more approach like complaints, right? One is it wasn't enough. Like you skimped on us way too much, and we don't feel that we got the full pack, the full deal. And then there's the other one saying, what you gave us was awesome and I want more, damn it. Because you usually give us a lot more and you spoil us. So why didn't you spoil this time? But you did give us enough. And I think that's where we're falling with Rise. It's a great game. And, I could only imagine that they've taken that feedback, and I cannot see Sunbreak not getting more support than Rise got when it comes to post-launch. Only because I think they realized, okay, people have come now to Iceborne set a precedence that regardless of the platform,
is not something we can ignore. So maybe this was good, a good learning lesson for them, that when you set the bar that insanely high, you are still setting the bar. And, for whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I don't know, but I think the feedback's been clear. So I think people need to stop hammering on it and just enjoy the game, or just move on and play other games until Sunbreak comes out. But I'm with you. I mean, I get where they're coming from, and I agree.
As a matter of fact,
I would have loved to see Phoenix Wright, though. I don't know why they didn't do a Phoenix Wright.
Yeah, that seems like it would be appropriate.
Yeah, they had like a new re-release, like sort of package thing this year as well, right?
Yes.
That would have been a really nice one. So that's kind of a shame.
And I would actually like to ask people that are watching this on YouTube, tell us which of those two camps you're on. Are you like, you feel that like they skimped out? Or do you feel like, it was really good, you just wanted even more of what we got? Do you feel like you've got enough? Like, I'm very curious to see where people land on it now that we've had 2.0, 3.0, most of the significant events and collabs, those have come and gone. And here's the thing, they're not stopping the support to the game just yet. They also said, okay, this is our last collab, but we're still going to bring in new events. Okay.
Yeah, so this is weird. So they announced that they're doing a Sonic collaboration, which was interesting. I mean, they've done Sonic collaborations before, and they've always been fun. But that was new. Like, I don't think any of us were expecting that. So good on them and Sega for making that work. But I don't think in the stream they announced the date. They said more details at a later time, but immediately once the stream ended, they said November. So it is November. And I don't know why they didn't say that during the stream. Yeah, it's on the website, November. It's on the roadmap.
Oh, they didn't say that.
So it's like, well, why didn't you say that during the stream? It's like, I don't know. Maybe they decided after they made the video. But like, it's coming November. So it's not far off. At the end of October, near Halloween, we get Ghosts and Goblins, or Ghouls and Goblins, depending on how you want to say it. Mm-hmm. And then the next month we'll get Sonic, which is cool. And then they said in December we're getting a brand new, the rock version of Ibushi's theme is going to be added to the game in December, which makes me think that they probably have some type of fun event quest planned for that month, because they did say that they are going to continue on doing event quests each week, which is great. And I want to see more and more. And we just got a cool one actually today that me and Yuna are going to do after we do this podcast.
What is
Apex,
today's quest?
It was the Lover's Quarrel. It's the Apex Rathalos and the Apex Rathian in the same map at the same time.
Ooh.
So I'm very looking forward to that.
I wonder if they do the thing that Rathalos and Rathian used to do in the older games. They
just constantly chase into the same area. Yeah.
Yeah. That'll be interesting if they do that. It's going to be completely hectic to fight.
I'm having like nightmares of Hyper Silverlos and Hyper Golden Rathian from Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. That was something else, but that's fun.
Yeah.
One thing, if I can give a critical feedback to Capcom, I doubt they listen to this.
All the critical feedback, dude, all of it,
is I think they have their order a little messed up in that they sell the additional cosmetic DLC a day before the free event quest comes out. I think they need to reverse that order, because I think it's giving the impression to people that they care more about pumping out a lot of more DLC, because it's like, oh, there's something new today. What is it? Paid DLC. Oh, we got to wait for the event quest tomorrow. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if you're serving two people at a table, like, who do you serve first? Do you serve the DLC crowd, or do you serve... I think they need to give the people the stuff, and then the next day they can say, hey, we got some additional cosmetic DLC. I think that order actually makes a difference.
I didn't even realize that that's how they were doing it, so I wasn't even aware of it. I just usually log on to do the events on like Thursdays or Fridays, whatever, when they become available. I don't really pay too much attention to the paid DLC, and unless they eventually do like what they did with World, where they just sold a bundle with everything on it. Because like, I don't want to go like, okay, I'm gonna get this and the Nintendo eShop store is already completely and utterly atrocious. We've talked about this before, so it's like, I don't want to be.
One good thing though, they did note that the event quest that they're going to continue doing, I presume throughout the end of the year at least. They did say that there's going to be items and equipment and stuff that you can get from them. So that's exciting to hear. I hope they're good. I know people don't like the stamps, even though if you're playing with another player, the stamps are awesome. Me and Yuna have a ball with those. But I'm interested to see what they have up their sleeves. If
Yeah,
anything,
I remember.
I'm not going to hype myself.
I remember them saying something about armor parts, but I was like, we didn't even get armors for Apexes. I don't.
You sure? You sure about that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
But
if
they
that
said the same thing in Japanese, but I don't. I was like, really? But we'll see. Maybe
new
they have
armor,
some
new
fun.
Weapons.
It's probably new layered. It's probably
new
stuff,
layered. Yeah, I think it's layered because they also said for Arthur, oh, you can get new armor parts to make this layered thing, and I was like, okay, it's probably layered armor from the events. It's probably not going to be brand new armor with new skills. It's
yeah.
But anyway, after they announced the Sonic thing, they did mention that Rise is discounted right now on the eShop.
A lot of their games are discounted right now.
Yeah, because at the end of the stream, they also announced a lot of Capcom games were getting discounted. I'm assuming that's kind of just like, oh, we're celebrating Tokyo Game Show or something like that. And so just here's a bunch of discounts. So if you're still considering, if you're still on the, on the fence, this might help you make your decision. But still, it is still just for the Switch because we're going to be talking about the PC version soon. But just be aware, PC version is coming relatively soon. So if you've been waiting for it on the PC this whole time, now is not the time to buy it. Just keep waiting, yeah. But anyway, so after that, they talked about the yokai inspirations for some of the monsters.
Yeah, that was cool, and I wish they would have took their time a little bit more with that section because I don't think
at the end they rushed
people,
it.
I don't feel like they realize how interesting that stuff is for some people. And I think, especially for the West, who don't know what these scenes are anyways, I think they could have easily cut 10 minutes out of something else and put it here. Because this is fascinating. That was a cool corner. Like, hearing that kind of stuff. And also, like, seeing that picture. I wanted them to show the animation, but him going on, saying how they were messing around with animations of, like, like when you add, like, a bad meal, you'd fall over sick to your stomach. And they had, like, Yomogi and the cats screw up the dango, and they're like, bleh! And they fall over dead on the ground. But then they realize that if you could still go up and talk to them, and them talking,
and she just go like "Hirashai," and I was like, oh, that must be cool.
That stuff is hilarious, and they can give me 30 minutes to an hour of that, and I would eat it up. That was genuinely fun to hear.
The thing is, I think you're in the minority when it comes to that stuff. So like, I'm interested in that. Probably. You're interested in that. A majority of people probably, when they started talking about, oh, there's this animation that we did for Yomogi.
Go make some coffee, go to the bathroom,
I guarantee that most people aren't even aware that there's an animation in Final Fantasy. Not in Final Fantasy. Where's my brain?
And you can tell it.
Jesus.
It's on their mind.
But
addict.
A lot of people probably didn't even know that in Monster Hunter World there's a special animation for the little palico that's like blowing into the fire, and eventually the fire spews out, burns the palico. It's like, ah! I guarantee a lot of people have never even noticed that tiny little detail, but I did. I would look at that thing all the time because it's the little details in animations that really make the world feel that much more special when it comes to Monster Hunter.
And I thought it was interesting how they said, when they created, and finally I got confirmation about what they mean by demo, because I had recently posted on Twitter about the credits of Suzuki-san, who is the new director. It's his debut as director. He's not just like some new dude. He's been around since Monster Hunter 4G as a game designer. He's been on all these games. Yeah. Like, he's worked on Iceborne, and so he finally is getting a directorial debut. That's exciting as hell, because he's getting a chance to prove himself, and I love the idea of new directors. And we had that with Iceborne, with Daisuke. Like, that's great. He unfortunately went on to do his own thing because he wanted to work on non-IP franchise-related stuff, and I think he realized at Capcom that's what they do, so he moved on. But they credit him in Rise as for the demo. But when they said demo, I knew they weren't talking about like the demo, like for the consumer playing demo. And I thought they were talking about something like demo could mean different things in Japanese depending on how you use it. It's just demonstration. Like, there's like arcade machines have the demo mode where it's just like the opening movie loop that tries to like attract you, which we call track mode in the industry. But then you have demo, which is like when you run into a monster and they have like the cutscene, right? That's the demo movie, they called it specifically, which makes a lot of sense. So he was involved doing in the designing of how those play out. Like,
the ecology videos. What we usually call ecology videos, yeah.
That's even cooler, knowing that he was involved in that, because those were so well done, and I wish they would have went into more detail, but this idea that they didn't just apply the yokai theme to the new monsters, but they also applied it to existing
the old ones, yeah.
Yes, and they said, okay, in like Rathalos, there is a yokai that breathes fire from the sky. How can we encapsulate that in the intro cutscene for him? Or Narga Kuga and like all these things. Like, that stuff is really fascinating. If they made a book on like just all the design stuff, I would buy it in a second. You kidding me? That was cool.
It was. Like I said, here's the interesting thing. Even though there wasn't a lot in terms of like news and stuff like that for what people wanted, like, oh, tell me more about Sunbreak, tell me more about what you're doing with Rise, tell me, about Dragon's Dogma 2, because, I wanted Dragon's Dogma 2, didn't get that. But, even though there wasn't a lot of that, it was still a good show. With this yokai stuff, I find that also very interesting. I think it's really cool. And I hope that people, actually, when they watch that, they were interested in it and not just being like, oh, actually, move on. Tell me more things and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So then there was also the fact that they're doing new voice DLC for Hunters, new Hunters voices. And I'm actually
this
curious.
Was interesting.
How does this work in Japan? Did they show you the English voices, or did you get like two different people in Japan? Because like in English, we're getting Deborah Wilson and Pro ZD, who is a content creator on YouTube.
Oh, he gets to be the male voice? I love him.
Yes, he's the male voice. He's like the
man,
best.
If I had the English, I'd buy it just to support him. I love him. He's great.
I don't know if he's getting anything out of it, but yeah.
Exposure TM. Like, I love it. Like, that's great. I feel happy for him. But yeah, they made it, I think for each region, they phased it as like, we have these two voice actors that we really would love to feature, so we found a way to make it work. And I'm like, there's no way the original, it was like made for the English. It was probably because they had some Japanese voices that they wanted to do. And so then they said, okay, let's challenge ourselves to find some English voice actors that we would love to work with. And they came up with it. And I gotta admit, I haven't looked it up yet. I don't know who the voice actors are for the two characters in Japan, but they use the voice actors' names from the Japanese in the Japanese direct. Okay. I did not realize who it was in English. That's pretty cool. Who's Deborah? What do you know?
Deborah, I think she's an actress. I don't know a lot of the stuff that she's done because, I don't really keep up with a lot of mainstream stuff. As a matter of fact, last night, my wife, wanted to go to the movie, went to the movie, watched the last James Bond, and I was like, this film's, I didn't like it at all.
Wow.
It's like I'm kind of disconnected.
For hyping me on that one.
I'm kind of disconnected of dude. I could spoil so much for you from that movie. No, so don't even get me started.
No, because I am going to watch it, so don't do that.
You plan on watching the next James Bond? Okay, but
I've seen all the James Bonds before, so
okay. So anyway, I'm kind of disconnected, so I don't know exactly all the stuff that she's done, but I do think that she's an actress. She's done some work, and cool enough, they were like, we liked their voice performance so much that we made 2 NPCs for them. So Prozate, I don't know if this was also the same thing in Japan. Are they making 2 NPCs for the voice actors?
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's the same thing then. One of them is Hamon's best apprentice or whatever. That was Prozate's voice. And then Deborah is Fugen's niece. I thought her voice is like a couple of the lines that they showed.
She's the one
really
that
cool.
They were tweeting about that Fushigi was saying that she punched out Arzuros, right?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Remember there was a tweet where he said like he actually has a niece who's a hunter and she's known for during her travels of knocking out an Arzuros and hunting it with her bare fists. I'm like, what?
That sounds like a good idea. Getting to a fist contest. Good God, I can barely speak. Get into a fist contest with Arzuros. That sounds good.
I'm mixed on this one though. I'll be very honest with you. Like
on the voice acting stuff.
The idea that they're selling these.
Why?
Because like we get references to them in their social media posts and also the rumors in the game. Like there's world building, right? Saying like Hammond has, this awesome apprentice or Fugen's family are all badasses and stuff like that. So it's really cool that we're finally getting a character. The fact that they're not actually designed original, they're actually just they're made using the character creator, and they're going to give everybody the recipe of exactly how to make them later, it feels kind of like a weird solution. Like, it's like, why didn't you just design a character? But they're going to give us the recipe to say, here, you buy the voice, and then we'll give you the recipe to make the face for this character.
If you want to play like
weird.
this NPC.
That's just weird. It means that they don't really have an identity visually, honestly.
Because anyone can make them, kind of. That's the idea. You wanted something more unique like Fugin's face.
An
like
actual
you can't
character.
replicate Fugin's face or Hamon's face or Yamogi's face in...
And you don't have Minoto's hair, which sucks, but I get it. It makes them unique, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is like, they said that they recorded all this completely different types of audio that helps the world building, right? And gets you into the characters and their personalities and what they do and where they come from. It's like, this is the kind of stuff you should just give away to the fans. This is good content.
The voices?
But I understand it costs money to do this stuff, but they've sold like whatever million
I mean, there's
copies.
also,
I think this should have been given away.
I mean, I'm gonna agree with you. It's just like I haven't been bringing this up as much because I don't want to keep harping on the same thing. But like I've said on several of our podcasts, I still feel like one of Rise's sins is the fact that they've done so much paid DLC when they haven't, like we've also said, they haven't done as much content as a lot of people were expecting. But at the same time, they've ramped up the paid DLC to a point where I think it's
the other side.
I think it's almost. The only reason I wouldn't say it's more than Iceborne is because Iceborne has all the stuff for your room. So technically speaking, Iceborne probably still has way more DLC.
It's all about the impression, right? At the end of the day, and it's. Do I feel they are giving me tons of free voices to earn by completing quests, or do I feel like they're selling me them? And if they're doing both, that's fine. But they're not. You can't get these things.
You can't get any voices through the game.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any that you can get. You have to buy all of them. There's no voice. I mean, I get it. You have to pay, your actors
bills,
and whatnot, and but still. I think the balance was a little bit skewed here, and I do think that is important to bring up from time to time, like, hey, Capcom, listen.
Yeah, I hope Capcom realizes it, and they
kind of
fix
like
that a little bit.
With Iceborne, nobody cared because there was just so much content and they just like went ham. They're like, oh, here's a pink dresser for your room. Here's all of these things for your room. And I think people are like, oh, whatever. I barely go in my room anyway, right? So it's whatever. But there was just so much content there that nobody even thought twice about like, oh, there's actually a lot of DLC here. But on this one, because there was less content, people are like, hey. And I found myself thinking like, hey, this is a lot of paid DLC. Like, I don't know about that. But yeah.
I felt a little weird about it, so.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, but I think that's important feedback to give.
Yeah.
So
that's the new voice DLC. They then went into the music presentation, which I was actually like, dude.
Before we do this, we got to mention, I wanted to see more of it, but we got to see more of Rajang Man, the guy who does the motion capturing. They had the motion capture for the felines, like they were showing off how they did them in their motion capture studio. And like it's the same actor who did like Rajang versus Kirin. And I love seeing that stuff. It's like you said, it's behind the scenes stuff.
It's the behind the scenes stuff. I like
to see his face again. It put a big smile on my face, and I liked it.
I actually overlooked that when I did my summary video. I didn't remember talking about the behind the scenes, cinematography and all of that crazy stuff that they do. But yeah, that is really cool. They did that for
the stuff I care about. I know
Devil May Cry 5 as well. Like you remember when they did the thing where they showed the character coming out of the car. You saw that one, right? For Devil May Cry 5 as well?
That was amazing. I showed you all those, and it's really good because I think it sparks a lot of creativity also in future game developers to see visually how it can be. Like that's one way of doing it, and it was so well done. And you can feel the love, like that they really enjoyed it. It's so good.
It's a nice behind the scenes. Again, I would recommend people like when they have the time to actually check out the show itself, because even though there wasn't that much in terms of just raw news, there was a lot in terms of just like this, like the musical presentation, the yokai inspirations, the behind the scenes stuff. I thought that was cool. They could have just
propped this up as a celebration of again, they could have
as opposed
a celebration
to a news
of Monster
event.
Hunter Rise. And then at the end say, okay, we've celebrated Rise. We told you our upcoming plans. You can tell that it is indeed winding down, but there's a reason for that. And we're going to leave you today with a special video teaser. Please enjoy. And leave it with the trailer. Oh, man. You imagine how awesome that would have been? Oh,
That would have been friggin' wild. But yeah, they didn't do that, unfortunately, which,
Yeah.
it is what it is. Whether or not that was the best way of going about it or not, I don't know how long people could potentially even talk about it, because like, oh yeah, I didn't like this thing, I like that thing. It is what it is. That is what the event ended up being.
So what did you think about the music performances?
So this is the interesting part, right? For the music performances, I actually, what I wanted is, I want the versions that they performed in the game, because the shamisen is not nearly as pronounced in the in-game tracks. Like when they were showcasing, for instance,
they were doing new arrangements, yeah.
They showed the Mizutsune track, and I was like, dude, this one's so much cooler. But I get it, because it's not as similar to the original one from the previous games, right? So it's like, well, But to me, I was like, dude, give me the new one, dude. The new, with the shamisen. I was like, dude, that was awesome. I loved it. All of the tracks that they played in there, I was like, hell yeah, dude. Give me this version love to see in game.
Yeah, give me these. Yeah, give me the alt versions in the game. Like then I clear this quest to get this. Like give me a Super Ibushi quest, and then if you clear it, it unlocks the rock version or something. Like that would be cool event quest.
Exactly.
Content.
Like instead of selling these, instead of just selling these as DLC, actually do something interesting with them. I think it would be way cooler than just being like, oh, well, we did this thing.
So what did they do? Is this the Western's players' first time perhaps seeing the intros in Japanese and how they did that? Because it was more like poetry for the West, right?
Dude,
it wasn't this guy.
Listen, did you ever listen to the English version of this thing?
I did, yeah. But there's a lot of people's first time exposure to this.
There's a lot of people that like, we're talking about the ecology videos, by the way, guys, in case you guys don't know. So like whenever you would fight a new monster, there's like an ecology video.
An area for the first time.
And in English, they do some poetry. And then in Japanese, they actually had like this traditional thing. What is it called in Japanese? Yeah. What is that? Because it's almost like an art. You have like dong jing ho, that was really cool. Like this probably sounds really disrespectful. Like I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be like insensitive. I'm just trying to get people to understand what exactly I'm referring to, right? So in Japanese,
so I don't know if people realize this, but he and also the young lady who is playing the same instrument for the other song for Magnum Alo, they're playing an instrument called the biwa, and it's actually really rare. There is not a lot of biwa players in the world, even in Japan, where it's a traditional instrument. Apparently, it's a tough-ass instrument, and it's very traditional. So this guy comes from a long, I imagine the girl as well, they come from a very long family who have passed this down from generation to generation, this art. And so this type of, I don't know what they would call it in English, but it's a type of verbal presentation using the biwa. It's a very traditional art, and he does it so well. I love it. And so they did some stuff that they didn't do in the game, which I thought was really cool. That was a cool track.
So basically, my point.
I don't want to sound like an ass, but
go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
My point with that was like, I always told people when when Rise had just released, that like, listen, if you're playing in English, you're missing out on some of these really cool presentations. And people were telling me, no, you don't get it. In English, there's like these really cool poems and stuff. And I put it in English and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm sorry. Like, I get it. Sure, they tried something. I think it would have been better if they had just given Japanese the whole thing, because the poems just don't even hit remotely as hard as the Japanese presentation and the music of the biwa at the same time. Like, it's just a completely different experience. It might as well be a different game at that point. And I told people, like, you missed out if you just played in English and never watched these in Japanese. So it might have been...
I think they did a good job at English. And there are people who like that type of... What do they call it? Like open poem night, where someone gets on like the stage at a Starbucks and they sort of like rap out with some freelance poetry, and it's cool. But the thing is like, the fact that the game was already double downing on the Japanese aesthetic, they could have taken the money, and again, this is not to diss the English at all, but they could have taken the money for recording that and doing all that effort, just subtitle the Japanese biwa entrances, use that money for the voice acting for these two NPC characters in order to give it away for free. Like, there's better uses of money here.
Which the Japanese does have subtitles, by the way, because you can choose to have English subtitles to the Japanese one and still understand what he is saying, which is what I did, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't want to feel like an ass, but every time I hear Kanae-san, the singer who does Hinoa, Hinoa in English, she's so off tone when she sings live. It kills me. It's like, can someone put a little autotune in her mic, please? Because she's got a really nice voice, right? The problem is that I think she's not, and it's also like, can you imagine performing on a dark stage with no audience in the middle of a hall? It's got to be very uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's weird.
So it's like
the same thing.
A break.
The same thing with the latest Fan Fest, the Final Fantasy XIV. In a lot of ways, it's weird because a lot of the show is predicated on having an audience there. And you could tell, they did their best. They still had like people from staff there to kind of like be an audience. But, you could tell that there are several shows that just work better with an audience than just like...
Yeah, like I challenge anyone to listen to this. Go into your room and do a live podcast without recording and without having a partner to talk to. Or an audience to listen, and you can do it for the first few minutes. Don't trust me, you can. But give it 5 minutes, man, you're gonna run out. It's gonna feel so awkward. Record yourself doing it. Watch how dumb you look and how awkward you look.
I can do that.
Props to these people. But I think she could have done. They could have done her some favors by tuning it a little, because she does sing out of tone. She did it for the concert as well, and it's a kind of a shame because she does have a nice voice. So. Yeah. That was kind of like, I cracked up and I felt like an asshole for it. I'm like, why am I making fun of her off-tone voice? But
at the end of the day,
but there was a really fun little blurb. I don't know if they translated any of the conversation during the concert the other day, but they had talking parts where she was talking to Tsujimoto. Did you see the concert or no?
No, I didn't see the concert.
Dude, so for everybody who's listening, it wasn't just a live thing. You can buy tickets. It's like $30, and you can go watch it right now. They're keeping it up as an on-demand thing until like mid-October, but you don't get to keep it, and you don't get the free soundtrack. So if you can't afford it, it sucks. But it was really fun. But they had these talking sections where the artist would talk to Tsujimoto in between, and she had a really fun story in there where she said that she didn't know what the game was when she recorded the song. They don't tell them. They have to keep things very secret. So she had no idea, and she's like, what the hell is this language? Like, she has no idea. And the directors are feeding her tons of, like, what is it about, the emotion, all that. And she said when she went in for her second recording, one of the staff told her, yeah, like, Mohan language is really difficult, isn't it? And she's like, she stopped in her tracks and said, wait, is this Monster Hunter? What? And Tsujimoto-san looked like genuinely surprised to hear that. And he's like, well, thank God our staff didn't blow it. Okay. It's like, so she got really excited when she found out that it was Monster Hunter, because even though she may not be a player, probably, she knows it's a big brand, I'm sure.
Monster Hunter, people need to understand, for those of you that are in the West and like maybe World was your first brush with Monster, like Monster Hunter in Japan is huge. Like we're talking, it competes with Pokemon huge. Okay.
Yeah. It's big. So that was a really funny aside that they gave during the concert. But the concert was awesome, by the way. Me and you watched it together. I still need
to watch it. It's just this week has been pretty crazy for me with the launch of that New World MMO. I've been pretty friggin' addicted to it.
Yeah, but you're talking about how you like the different arrangements that they do. Like somewhere more shamisen oriented. You will love the concert because they did a lot of that.
I have to do, because like I just love what they do with the shamisen. Like it's actually, I think that one has become one of my favorite Japanese instruments. There's that, and there's also that crazy flute that you guys have. Like there's this
the shakuhachi, yeah.
I don't know if it's the I don't know what the name of it is, but it's a very rare instrument as well. Like the same way that you were talking about the biwa, how there's very few people that know how to play that. Because this was an interesting thing that happened. I don't know if you were aware of this controversy. There was a bit of a controversy. It was
E3?
E3, Sony? Yeah, the Sony one. Like,
Ghost of Tsushima. This one made me laugh my ass off so hard.
Because it was an American guy, right? That played the flute, and they were like, you couldn't get a Japanese guy.
He's like a freaking grandmaster of this instrument. He's like one of the most respected players of this instrument. Culturally, it doesn't matter where you were born. Like this guy is like a legend, and it's like when they go on. You get those posts of someone going on someone's Instagram. And they go like, that's not what the singer meant. It's like, you're talking to the singer, you idiot. It's like, They should have got something more authentic. How authentic can you get? That was idiots.
It reminds me. Really it reminds me of like a while ago. There was this this girl who shared something from Animal Crossing, and she had like space buns in her hair or whatever. And people were like, oh man, and I was like, Jesus Christ, look, I get it, I'm white, I can't complain about this, but come on, dude, what the hell? It's like, it's crazy. People
cultural
take
appropriation, I know, is a thing, and it does exist, but 90% of what I see online is actually cultural appreciation, and I think they're misunderstanding the two. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. And it's a Western problem because, trust me, people in most countries, when they see anybody embracing anything of their culture, they are so happy. And it doesn't matter if you mess it up. It doesn't matter if it's weird. It's like, I love you. You love our culture. You're sharing the beauty of our outfits. Like, thank you.
If someone was like sharing literally anything from Portugal, I'd be like, hell yeah, dude. Let's go. Like dress like traditional Portuguese outfit, hell whatever. Yeah, do it. It's amazing. I love it. And it's like, I don't care which race or, ethnicity, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, I'd just be happy about it. But it's weird because people, they do this thing and it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever to just like, do that.
Harp on them, yeah. So
I was actually really happy at one point. There was this dude who posted on Twitter because someone was trying to gatekeep people who wanted to celebrate like Chinese New Year. And they were like, by the way, you can't celebrate Chinese New Year unless you're invited by someone to celebrate Chinese New Year. And so this Chinese guy goes up on, so this Chinese dude goes on Twitter and then replies to that thread saying, I now invite everyone. You're all invited to celebrate Chinese New Year forever. I invite everybody to celebrate this forever. And I was like, yeah, there you go.
Why wouldn't you be happy?
I think people just like conflict at the end of the day. But anyways, we're just like so
it's
off
a Western
topic
thing
now.
I mean, when someone's trying to steal something and make it into like, this is mine, or like if they're being disrespectful, sure. But I mean, in most cases, they're just enjoying the culture, and that's a beautiful thing. So, so music performance what was the next one? Was the next one the rock version of Ibushi, which caught me so off guard? I was just like,
Yeah, at the end of the musical performance, they basically just they made a remix of the Ibushi song that is so a rock version. Essentially,
Yuna was laughing in stitches when they had at the end. They had like the wind blowing in her face, trying to recreate like the whole like Ibushi thing going on. And then they showed the pictures of like the cyclone from the Rampage and everything. She's like, this is so. They call it shuru or surreal in Japanese. It's a word that they use. It's like, this is so off the wall. I love it.
I thought it was amazing. I really liked it. I liked everything about that music presentation. And like I said, just how prevalent the shamisen were in there. I just wish that, again, I think that would be actually a really good thing that Capcom could do if they watch this podcast. Listen, Capcom, here's something that you could do, right? You enable those as DLC that you can win for like doing a tough quest. Like, here's a really tough Mizutsune. Here's a really tough Apex Mizutsune or something.
Alternate version of the song, yeah.
Yeah. And it unlocks this version. I think that would be awesome. Because the music's already made. It's not like they have to make it, right? They can just go get it.
So they said they're going to release this song in December, but they're not going to sell it. They're going to release it to everybody. So I hope that they tie it to something in-game.
Wait, it's not going to be sold as DLC? I thought it was going to be sold as DLC.
I don't think they said DLC toste haishin sareru, but they said haishin, but not hatsubai, which is to be released, not sold, which made it sound to me that it's going to be free DLC in December that they're going to be adding. I could be wrong, and I hope I'm not. God, if they sell this, I'm going to be like, come on, please, stop it. Like, give us this at least. Come on, 7 million sold or whatever. Like, come on.
Give us something.
But that was a cool song. That was cool. So I think that was the Rise part, right?
Yeah, that was pretty much the Rise part. After that, they went into the Sunbreak part of the presentation. They showed the trailer. And they announced the director, which you had already broke that news because I was looking up because I thought I had seen a tweet from you saying like, I know who the director is. It's right here. And there's actually links on like Reddit already for your post. Like Gaijin found out who the director is. Here.
Yes, I want to clarify. Like this is not me finding out who the director was. Like 4Gamer, Famitsu Gamer, all these Japanese media sites had articles that said, hey, we got some more details about what's going to be at TGS, and Tsujimoto and the new director for Theme, Suzuki, are going to be there. But the thing is even the Japanese community there was tons of tweets where people were like, who is this guy? Like, they just don't know. You look him, you Google him, you don't get any hits. They've never really featured him in any of the books or anything up until now. So it's like, wait, did he just join Capcom? Is this a new guy? Like, no one knew who he was. I'm like, let's do some detective work. So me and Yuna went down and we searched the living shit. And we found someone else also helped on Twitter. They sent some a patent that was submitted with his name on it along with Tokuda-san or something, like during the development of Iceborne or Rise. Like some really just boring patent stuff for technologies. Some of them are interesting. And then I looked at that site and tracked it down saying that, okay, he's been on patents for technology since 2013, which means he probably joined around 4G. And so me and Yuna went through and we started rewatching all the credit scenes from Monster Hunter 3G up and looking for his name. Because we also didn't know how to read his name because the sites didn't give the reading of his first name, and there's different ways to read it. I didn't know if it was this or that or that. There's like different combinations it could have been. And so we're like, okay, we're going to look for technical or game design, and we're going to look for Suzuki's. And we went through all of them, and we started finding, just like, boom, this is him.
See, guys, like, this boom, right here is dedication.
Boom, here he is again. And we found him in 4G as one of the game designers. And just so people know, there's more than one game designer on a game as scope as these big ones. And I also have a theory, like some companies will list them in order of like how high they are in the team. And you could see his name getting like higher and higher in the list as the games go on, which is awesome. So like he was game designer on 4G. He did game design on Generations and Generations Ultimate. He did game design on World and Iceborne. We just got a tweet from Andrew Alfonso, who was the localization lead for World and Iceborne, who's done GDC talks and everything, where he said he's worked directly with Suzuki-san and he's a cool dude. And he's super happy he's getting his directorial debut. He deserves it. So this is sort of like, an awesome story of a game designer finally getting his big break. Probably because Daisuke left, which is awesome. So he's been involved in all of the past games. To what he did, I don't know. And this is where the question came up of he was credited for the demos inside Rise. And it's like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that he designed like the really hard Magdamalo or like what? But now I think it's pretty clear what they meant was he was involved in the design of the demonstration movies for the monsters, in which it just excites me more because it means that he gets the concepts and everything. So he's going to be a director, so he was there to introduce himself. That was about it. They didn't go into anything else.
Yeah.
But they did introduce him, so I hope people realize that I care very much about directors. And one of the things, I'm sorry I'm talking so much.
Go for it.
One of the things I notice on Twitter is that a lot of people are not aware that having a different director for the expansion DLC, like AKA the Iceborne of World or the Ultimate releases, is absolutely normal. Like that's how they do it in Monster Hunter. So you always have a different director because they'll start work and pre-production on these scenes well before the base game is over.
It's one of those.
You can't just make a game in a year anymore. It's not like that.
It's one of those things that I feel like people are sometimes overly protective because swapping directors doesn't always work. I think it's important because new blood can bring interesting things to a franchise, assuming that the people that are working on it understand how the franchise works.
Yeah.
Because, for instance, if you think about Dark Souls, I don't know if you are aware of this, but Dark Souls 2 had the completely different director. And it was interesting because they had to swap directors midway because the guy they put in first was just like completely shredding the franchise. Like it was almost every time he did a public speaking, people would be like, what? What did he actually said that? What? And it was like, he was messing up stuff. And then they brought somebody else in. And basically I feel like that is something that always left a bit of a bitter taste in some people's mouths. I understand.
Yeah.
A lot of people love Dark Souls 2. Don't misunderstand me saying I don't like it. I also like Dark Souls 2, but I like it less than all the other ones, basically. But I think that new directors is interesting because, again, fresh perspective, fresh blood. Who knows what you might get? Sometimes you might get something good. Yeah. Sometimes you might get something less good.
The other thing I would like to note is that depending on the company, it's different. But for Capcom, and specifically, I would say Monster Hunter because I don't know about the other teams. There is a combination. Some companies do a director/producer thing, which is like Hino-san from Level 5. He's the president, he's the producer, he's the director. They are basically, that company exists to bring his little fantasies to life. So the producer should never be the same as the director, in my opinion. You run into some really bad ideas. Like, things get delayed because people want to get, like, super anal. Like, Red Dead Redemption had, hey, let's redo all the cutscenes even though we just remade it. It's like, you need someone separated from the actual team crafting it that looks at the overall product vision. And Capcom's Monster Hunter has always had a very strong producer. Like, it's a produced series. So Tsujimoto is always there. Same with Kaname, because they produce the series. They're involved in all the products. They're involved in the world building. They lead and make sure that the directors are doing the series justice. So it's very heavy. They have a very strong producer base, and they let the directors sort of like handpick, okay, I want this guy to do the sequel for this because I'm working with him. I like him. We get him. Like, he can do something cool. And so I hope Suzuki-san knocks out of the park, man. I'm really happy for him. The fact that he's been with the series for so long and gets his chance to shine in the sun, so to say. Yeah. Break it, man. Break it.
Sun breaking in his debut. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if and what he ends up, changing in the formula of Rise, but we'll see how that whole thing pans out.
But hats off to Ichinose. Like, I know we talk about things that they probably should have done better in Rise and all that, but like I'm looking at all these other game franchises I love, and I'm looking at like the world situations in the last few years and how difficult it's been, and not a lot of stuff is moving. And the fact that he was able to get all this done in the last 4 or 5 years, and to get it out at such a difficult point, like, you got to tip your hat to the man. Like, He really did a good job. So I just want to give my thanks to the team. I'm shilling, as people say, right? I'm shilling because I'm getting paid to say this. Apparently,
how dare you?
My ass. You wish.
People really overestimate like how willing publishers are to throw money at people. Unless you got, like, I don't know, a friggin' 5 million subs or something like that. It's like, you're not going to see a dime from most publishers.
Hey, at least I could say they almost canceled my channel on accident. They struck my channel twice. Remember, during the 15th anniversary one. So like, until that was resolved, I thought I was going to lose it all. So no, I'm not getting paid by Capcom, and no, I'm not shilling for them. I'm willing to shit on them if I need to, but I love Monster Hunter. So
yeah.
Anyways, but then they had they showed the teaser trailer again.
The teaser trailer
with
again.
Some differences.
And I mean, differences. They put a name in there. They identified the monster. Wow. That was the difference. The monster's named Malzeno with a Z.
Melzina in Japanese. Meduzena.
So Mal, by the way, in Portuguese, is basically evil. Mal. M-A-L.
Yeah, malicious.
Mal. Yeah, malicious. Evil. So that is just our word for evil, and I believe it probably has like it comes from Latin or something, most likely, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. But so he's probably going to be evil. Malzeno is going to be an evil monster. Who'd have thunk it?
What I love is
an evil elder dragon.
I tweeted about this yesterday, but in Japanese they have nicknames for the monsters that use kanji for the type of dragon it is. Like, they'll say like the Annihilation Dragon or something like that, right? So his nickname, which doesn't exist in English, the 3 kanji they're using, the first one, it's really hard to translate because this is the same Chinese character that's used in all. You know how like there's like the line of nobility, like of noble, like you have a king and then you have like nobility under them, like dukes, barons, counts. You have all these different positions, right, depending on the country and the system. That's the kanji that's always used in all those sub-positions. So it's used in Count Dracula or like the Duke, but there's always something before that, like secondary, third, primary, like, so they don't have that. So I would, the best way I would translate it is just noble, but noble in like he's the Duke, he's the Count, but it's not specific to what type of his role. So he's nobile in the hierarchy of things, which goes into the fact that Rondine's place is built off of royalty, is kind of the hint that we get. She's got a queen, her highness, and now we're getting like the Count Dracula, so to say. It's very obvious it was inspired by that. Then the second character is Silver, which is interesting. And then the last one is Dragon. So it is the noble silver dragon.
The noble silver dragon. Malzeno.
Yeah. So if people want to call it Duke Silver or the Silver Duke or the Silver Baron, like any of those are correct. They're just pointing out that he is of some nobile position, so to say, the nickname. So these are always really fun to look at the nicknames because it gives you an idea of like, if you notice his official render, which is really cool, he holds himself up like really righteous.
Yeah.
And really like.
He does seem pretentious, basically, is what I'm getting.
Yes,
arrogant.
yeah, pretentious is a good word. Yeah,
a bit of a prick almost.
Yes, this is my domain, you bastards.
Yeah.
So they gave us that,
looking down
and
on you.
They did though confirm that the map that they showed in the teaser is not just an event thing; it's an actual map. It's part of an actual full map. They did say that, which was cool. They gave the reason of what Sunbreak was, but I completely forgot it because it was so abstract and poetic.
Sunbreak, the reason behind the name Sunbreak is because of the way that the sun rises in the new locales. That's what they said. The way the sun rises and kind of makes that, when it's in the horizon, there's like a big streak of light.
Yeah.
That's like the whole thing. If you actually look at the Sunbreak logo, I think it has that streak of light right down the middle. That's the whole thing about Sunbreak. It's the sunrise on the new maps. That's why they called it that. Because that's what they said during the presentation.
Yeah. I don't know who said it. It was you or my daughter or someone on Discord. I don't know. But someone brought up an interesting idea of is like, what if the day cycle in these new maps are like faster, and like when the dark crimson sun comes up, the monsters become stronger or something?
That's
like
what I would
variation
expect.
And changes. That would be pretty damn cool.
That's what I would expect. There has to be something because of the fact that he's a vampire, right? So Sunbreak has to come into play there, where it's like I was actually theorizing yesterday that maybe when the sun comes up and it's daytime, maybe the monster they go into like a cave or something to hide.
Yeah, and they become different.
Yeah, and they take a more defensive posture, and then when it's nighttime, they come out and they're like all aggressive and brah. And maybe you'll even have quests
You're
where
on my turf
like,
now.
It'll start in daytime and it'll start in nighttime, and it's like completely different.
Or it's always nighttime or something.
Yeah,
like
maybe they'll have like
sweet.
different settings, and I was like, oh, night doesn't seem to go away, and we have to go deal with this monster. Maybe the monster is generating all of this nighttime. But yeah, in regards to the map, all they said really was like, it's got castle ruins, and when it's night, the sky becomes crimson red, and that's it. Yep. And I was like, oh,
and that's
okay.
it. And they said yes. Now this is the weird part here, and this really confused me. So they said that Sunbreak is, of course, an adventure outside of Camera, which of course we knew, because this looks nothing like it.
Yeah.
So we know that we are all leaving and we're going to a new base. This is like standard for every expansion. That's all they said. They didn't tell us this is based on Rondine. They didn't tell us crap. So it's like, at least give me one thing to chew on. Just
give me a smidge.
They could have just said based on Rondine's land, and that's all they need to do is confirm it, and we would all be theorizing for the next 3 months about everything. But they gave us nothing. But the weird thing that they did give us is they said that you'll be able to start playing from after you kill Narwa. They said that you would be able to start the content for this game. Where this is weird, and this is normal for most games, right? Like, I'll tell you right now, I'm playing through 4G with my daughter. We beat...
So wait, after you repel Narwa the very first time, so not All Mother.
Yes, okay. Which is interesting. Now, the thing is like they've always had this in the past where like you'd have to get to HR7, and then if you beat the quest, then you can move on to the G story, so to say, right? Which they did confirm is going to be called Master Rank again. I don't know if that was in the English stream.
If it was, I missed it. I'm disappointed. I want G rank, dude.
Yeah.
G rank. Bring back G rank. Normalize G rank.
Nope, it's gone. So Master Rank is going to be the thing. They confirmed it. But like even in Monster Hunter 4G, like you would clear up until what is it? Shagaru or whatever. Yeah. And like then like the Hunter rank system had its own things afterwards, right? Like you had Hunter rank 30, 50, 70, 80, and 100. Like they unlocked like Fatalis or Akantor or Ukanos, Alatrion, stuff like that or whatever, right? Depending on the game. And you were never required to do all of those in order to go on to the G rank story, of course. That would be crazy. The problem is that this is the first time I can ever think in the history of Monster Hunter where those additional quests that you unlock, which is the Elder Dragons, and then Ibushi, and then the All-Mother, is actually tied to the story of the game. I can't think of any other time it's ever been like that, where the HR unlocked quests, like the Double Kieran quest had nothing to do with the story of base Monster Hunter World. The Tempered Kierans and Basil and those types of things, right? Even Ruiner Nergigante was already introduced and we already met him. It wasn't a big deal to go face him head to head to the death, which was the 100. So like what they're doing is not new, but it means that you could go and start Sunbreak before you even get to the conclusion of the Rampage, which is so interesting to me. I mean, they can't force people to say, okay, you got to go to HR 50 in order to play, because like, face it, most people don't. They're not going to grind. The actual end of Critical Path is Narwa, but then they continued. Then you had the whole Allmother and the finishing of that saga, all post HR. So it's kind of weird that you can go on this original story before that's resolved, which makes me think that, okay, they are really separating. Maybe I'm sure they're connected, but the conclusion of the Rampage is not necessary to tell the story that they're going to tell in Sunbreak. So I imagine they did this. It gives them more creative freedom. But it also makes me think that Narwa and Ibushi are not going to have much of a role, if any, in this expansion at all. Like they are just going to, like, that was Rise. Sunbreak's got its own problem,
Which if you think about like World and Iceborne, I mean, Nergigante still had a pretty important role to play by the end of Iceborne.
So I don't know how they're going to go in. Maybe Allmother will save the day, or I don't know what'll happen. Maybe she did get to mate. Maybe her offspring is sucked up by the new flagship and he gains new powers. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. But it's not new. Like, they've done that before in the series. It's just weird because those are tied to this story. But having optional unlockable Elder Dragons is nothing new, which I see some people suggesting. It's not. It's always been like that. So,
yeah. So,
and then they gave us the returning monster, the wonderful thing that they were teasing in French and Italian, like the fan favorite, long time no see, buddy. Oh my God. I mean, face it, he's a cool monster.
They gave us crabs.
You make it sound so
I know.
dirty.
I had to do it, dude. I had to do it. I mean, when else am I going to be able to use that joke? It's like, well, they gave us crabs.
Okay, you just opened yourself up to being roasted, which is there's always a tale behind every saying. So I don't know what you had going on in your past, Rurikhan, where you pulled that from.
Hey,
story behind everything. No, he looks cool. And did you see how fast he is in that video? And boy, got speed.
Yeah. I mean, he's supposed to be fast. This is Rise. Rise has to be faster because, I mean, if he was just going to pull his old moves from like GU, we'd beat his ass no problem with the tools we have in Rise. So they had to do something about it.
Very underwhelmed by its announcement only because we've been going through and playing all the old games. And we had just grinded the hell out of its deviant to make our longswords in Generations Ultimate. So to her, it's like a very present, like it's been around forever monster. She says like, I've just faced this thing a billion times. Now you're going to bring him back. Okay, great. But like, that's not really newsworthy for her because of the context. And she was so, I would say, underwhelmed because she had high hopes as well, that she literally fell out of her seat and comically just laid on the ground like she was pretending to be dead. And then I think about 10, 15 seconds later, after I was doing something in the kitchen, I started hearing snoring. She fell asleep right there on the ground. It literally destroyed her. She fell over and lost consciousness and fell asleep out of disappointment. And I woke her up and she's like, huh? She came to and I was just like, wow, that really shot. You were really hoping for more, weren't you? But the poor girls had bad luck. They like, we play Princess Connect and they just announced that this month's like, level 6 character it's still not the character she wants. It was very underwhelming. She had a thing in an online experience that was underwhelming just the other day. She was a little underwhelmed with the new hard Call of Tarath quest because there seems to be an invisible level limit or a bug. Because when I use the exact same armor and the exact same weapon as she does, we are both going in there with Call of Tarath armor and Thunderlord hammers. And while I am higher level than her by like 10 levels, I hit for like, I don't know, 550. She hits for 2. And we're hitting the same spot with the same weapon in the same place. That's kind of I don't like that.
That's
not a bug. I don't like that.
It doesn't surprise me because like they did say that they were going to make these things more challenging, and I already felt like
that's artificial though. If anything, I mean,
I
could
already
do less
felt this
damage, but
I already felt this in Bolt Reaver though. Like the first time that I got one shot by Bolt Reaver, I was like, okay, there's something going on here because like I was one shot by an AoE attack from Bolt Reaver, and then at the same time, Hellblade was a pushover, right? So I'm like, yeah. And then that to me is not
level gated. That I don't like. That's artificial difficulty.
That to me
she
is
can
not
hit for less.
It's not as interesting because it's just like go grind for levels, and I'm just like, I never at any point felt like during my whole Stories 2 experience that I needed to grind for levels. Never.
Yeah.
And I get it, it's the end game and whatnot. Yeah, sure, whatever. But it's just not that interesting to grind for levels in that game. The thing that is interesting to me is like, I want to grind for genes. I want to grind for making my dude more powerful. I don't want to grind just for the sake of EXP. And I guess that's probably what you can expect from Fatalis, which I've also said. What?
No, how do I put that? I sound like I'm bitchy now, but like we were so underwhelmed to find out that was indeed Fatalis, and I hope to God that it's not the last one, which it probably is, but we don't know. They didn't say.
Yeah.
The thing is like when they first showed their original. Spoiler alert, guys! At this point, it's been out for so long that if you haven't been in the game, then just get out. But like, look, like you go when they announced that they were going to have a mysterious co-op hard monster, right? They showed a small cutscene, which very clearly showed Fatalis. It wasn't even teased. Like they flat out showed you Fatalis, like it was right there in the sky. So it's like, okay, we're going to face Fatalis. And that was fine. Like I was like, okay, well they're kind of overdoing the Fatalis card because that's what they did in Stories 1, and we had that with Iceborne.
Dude, I hope Fatalis is not in Sunbreak. I hope Fatalis is not in Sunbreak.
I wouldn't mind as long as it's the Iceborne version, which I adore.
No, but it's like as long as it's not the focus, right? As long as he's, here's a monster you can fight, but not, this monster's very important for the story.
Yeah, but what people have to understand is that would have been fine, I guess, if they didn't do what they did, which is if you get to the end of the game and you get through the dungeon, the final boss is Fatalis. And you're like, wait a second. That cutscene that they showed me and they said it was going to be in October is actually already in the game.
Yeah.
The exact same cutscene. And you fight Fatalis, and it was a fun hunt. And then you look at all the gear, and the gear's not especially overpowered. It's interesting, and they're good, but they're the same power as everything else. So like they're just another choice. And then you get to the back of the secret dungeon, which is just a very hard version of the regular one, and you fight a very hard version of him, which takes like 48 turns. But you beat him, and then you can't face him anymore. And so you can only face him twice, which means that you can't finish any. I was smart. I don't know why I did it, but I really wanted good drops from him, so I saved my game, beat him, and when I didn't get a lot of rare drops, I reset it, and I fought him again. So both times I fought him, I had like the 10 point, 3 point, 3 point, 3 point, 3 point, like really good drops.
So you can only grind them in this upcoming event, is what you're saying.
2 times. So like I have level 4 armor for Fatalis. Yuna has level 1 because she just got crap drops, and that's it. You can only face it twice. You cannot face it again in the game, which I hate that decision.
I wasn't
and
even
the thing
aware
is
of that.
Now, so you can only fight him twice ever, which means there's no way to grind out his weapons or armor, of which that's kind of dumb. And then they're going to say, oh, now you've waited like so many months and the final boss is drum roll, Fatalis. I'm like, he's already in the game. Wow, you're finally going to let me fight him again? Now, the good thing is they did say that they're changing it up. So where the hard version of him in the secret dungeon is just a very beefed up version of the regular one, and it took like 48 to 50 turns. It was a pretty beefy hunt. They said this one is going to be more focused about less turns, more strategy focused like challenge, which I like. I think that's cool. I don't want an 80 turn battle with him. That would not be fun. But I think the power creep is going to be insane. But the thing is, I've already seen his gear. I know what his max armor looks like, and it's no different than Hellblade max armor. It's just different. It just has some cool skills that are different. That's it. Like, so do I really care? No, not so much. Am I happy it's there? Sure. finally I can farm it. But give me a chance to fight the actual story boss. I won't talk too much about its name, but like that was a cool ass boss that I really enjoyed, and there was no armor for it. All they have to do is give us that boss and give us some armor for it. I would be so happy, and they still might do it. So if you're listening, Capcom, make it happen. We need the story boss.
My biggest thing about this upcoming Fatalis encounter, besides the fact that you're probably going to have to grind levels and whatnot, is it's going to have a turn limit.
Yeah, that's what. I mean, I like the fact that they're going to make sure that it doesn't go on for 100 turns, because that's what would have happened if you just bloated it. But it's also going to be a huge power ceiling. You're probably going to have to be level 99, which is I don't know if you guys know this,
min max,
but the experience needing, but
degree.
The EXP that you need from level 92 to level 93 is probably the same amount as you need from level 1 to 90. It gets absolutely ridiculous to the point that I won't do it. I will not go to 99. But I mean, the good thing is I love Story 2 so much, and there was so much in there already that to me, I'm still playing the game, but it's just ice on the cake. I'm done with it. Like the parties, I love the game. It's one of my favorite games.
I feel like I'm done with Stories 2 as well. Yeah.
So I can be unhappy with it, but still overall pleased as hell with the game. I just hope they bring the last boss back. I really love the last boss. Yuna drew armor for it, and it's so cool looking. And I'm going to share it on social media because it's been long enough now. But she actually doodled armor, and it was cool.
The thing about it is, like, I feel like this is great for the people that are still playing the game, but I'm also thinking about it, okay, but what about people that didn't get into the game? Like, you should try to bring something for the people that didn't get into the game. It's not for me, because I'm, like I said, like you, I feel like, okay, I'm good. I'm done with the game. I had my fun. I think it was amazing. I loved it. But, what about people that didn't get into it? It's not like any of this new content is really going to...
But there's the super hard so much content in the game already, so I don't think it's for them anyway. So I think they're doing the right thing, but I don't like this. If they are level gating it, I don't like that. And I think if you are going to level gate, at least tell me what the damn level is.
Yeah.
Because there's
recommended level.
Seeing her do 2 damage was just bullshit. Like, I know there's that thing, like there's a challenge where it's like you have to hit with the right element in the right place, but that's not what I'm talking about. They literally just flat out did like Bitter Black Isle crap, which is like, if you're level 69, you do no damage. The moment you turn 70, all of a sudden you're doing 700. It's like, wait, what? It's like, oh, you level gated it. I see what you did there.
It definitely feels like that.
Sour taste in my mouth. That's why I groaned when I saw Fatalis, because of that context.
We skipped the very important part, because we talked about
the best part.
Too.
The best part, yeah. Steam.
We skipped the Steam version. So anyone who's been waiting for Monster Hunter this whole time, patiently waiting for the PC version, that's coming out on the 12th of January. It is going to support 4K resolution. They said high frame rates, which I'm assuming they're probably not even going to cap it at 60, right? I don't think that.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think that world is capped at 60. So. And
ultra wide quality textures.
Yep. Higher resolution
high quality textures, ultra wide support, voice chat integrated in the game.
Which nobody's going to use, because everybody's going to use Discord. Let's be real. Nobody uses in-game voice chat.
It looks like they're doing this version right. The thing looks like the Tokyo Game stream was horrible, but if you go watch the official 4K trailer, oh my God, it looks good.
Yeah, I still haven't watched it, but I've heard people just like completely lose their mind over it, and I can imagine, because I mean the game already looks gorgeous if you put like 4K textures on it and all of that stuff, all the bells and whistles.
It looks so good.
I can only imagine. Not to mention that the cool thing is, once they put that in there, modders are going to get in there and they're probably going to make it look even better, because that always happens.
Yeah, so they're gonna release a demo as early as October 14th. A free demo, which I think is awesome, because now people can finally test their PCs. Because I know, like, Iceborne was a very demanding game, right? So there was a lot of people who struggled to get great performance out of that. This is a game that was designed for Switch. I don't imagine it's going to push your system nearly as much as a game like Iceborne. And it's the RE
engine. Like, how is I don't know how the performance.
I don't know how does it perform on PC. It does have de novo, which blows.
Why do they still do the Novo? Dude, I hate that so much.
I don't know.
The Novo is like a cancer in
at least
industry.
I could say people can try on October 14th. I'm going to play it as well, just for the hell of it.
13th.
You can try the demo.
It's the 13th.
13th in the West, sorry. 14th in Japan. We're in the future, remember?
Yes.
So you can try it out and see how it performs on your system. What I'm afraid of, and what's already started is, Yuna looked at the 4K trailer and she came to me and said, "Can I get a game PC?" I'm like, no. No. She's like, I'll replay it. She's like, if it looks this good, I'll replay it from the start, all from the beginning. Because she knows that Sunbreak's coming day to day on PC, and she's like, this looks so damn
Here's
good.
what you got to do.
God.
You got to tell her you can have a PC if you build it yourself.
Well, she would do it, but no, I don't. You know how much money I've spent in the last year or two?
Dude, I know how much money I spent on my PC. It's a lot.
Hell no. So
Parts are expensive right now.
I don't want to do that. So whether or not this is going to age poorly or not, I don't know. But I made a tweet saying I won't, and everyone's like, "Mm-hmm."
Yeah, right.
Okay, buddy.
Christmas,
if we
Christmas
play this
comes,
and I realize that like
she's gonna give you the puss with boots treatment. She's gonna look at you like at Christmas, and you're gonna break.
No.
She'll break you.
Is like if we can grab a mini ATX system, and this thing is optimized enough with the RE engine that it runs well on an older graphics card.
But that's not
and we
4K.
Can still enjoy, well, like 1440p. She's got a 1440p monitor, which is the best. Face it.
Okay.
I've got a 4K. But I've got an RTX, so I'm fine. I think. I would hope. If an RTX 2070 Super is not enough, then like, fuck it. I don't care. Oops, sorry, my mouth. That thing cost me a lot of money. But like, if you can make a little like Steam machine, like it boots into Steam OS. And it only runs on a micro ATX, and like she can get 1440p 60 with the high quality stuff, and it's only a few $100s. I think I might actually do it. Only because I spent so much money on my gaming computer and I don't use it at all, that it would be a nice excuse to use it.
Might as well get some use out of the damn thing, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm going to use this demo as a testing bed, but I really do not want to buy another computer. I really don't.
Can't blame you.
I have a friend who does the Steambox thing where he created a very cheap computer that runs games very well in a very small little box, and it boots to Steam OS and does very good. And I would consider maybe doing that. I don't know. It all depends on how it performs. So I'll keep my eyes open for that. But the game looks good, so I'd say it looks like they're doing good on the PC version. It looks gorgeous. I showed you like from the press center, they had like a 24 megabit BMP of like a screenshot of like this perfect ultra settings of Narwa and Ibushi, and she's like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I've been seeing people posting like screen grabs on Twitter. People are going wild over it. Yeah, I'm gonna play it for sure. I'm gonna play it because it's Monster Hunter. I have a new PC. Sure, let's go. Let's do 4K. I'm only gonna be doing 60 because I can't find a good 144 hertz monitor in this market, so I'm kind of like screwed.
Yeah.
But
honestly, it's diminishing returns in my opinion. I mean, I know a lot of people wouldn't agree, but 60 to 120, it depends on the person, but I can definitely tell the difference.
Oh, I'll be able to tell the difference 100%.
And it's nice, but from like 120 to 165, I can compare those because my monitor goes to 165. I don't see the difference. My eyes are probably just too aged at this point.
You're too old.
At this point, I would just take 120. But do I see 120? Do I like it over 60? I do.
I mean, but I can't find a 120 either, so I'm kind of screwed either way.
But silky 60 with a good crispy resolution with high texture pack. Okay, sign me up. Like that sounds good. So I'm tempted, okay? I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It looks good. So if you didn't get the pretense of our initial part of this podcast, you'd think that we were like hyping the shit over this TGS show. And again, that's the weird thing. I felt horribly disappointed by it, yet there was tons of good stuff in there.
There was good stuff,
It's just the pretense was horrible.
It's just again, like I said, it's the build up to that show. I felt like they hyped people up. They're like, "Oh, we have this fan favorite returning monster. We're going to talk more about Sunbreak after this trail." And then it's like, there's actually not that many news there, but it was still a good show. Like I said, I still recommend people check it out. Yeah. Although I think they messed up their YouTube stream. I think because their YouTube stream, when I went there after the event, it was like all cut up. There was like a 3-minute video at the beginning. Then there was like a 40-minute video that started at the NPC voices. And I was like, oh man, it's a good thing I streamed the Twitch version on YouTube. And it's a good thing I did that.
Weird. But I think just to give dates, because we didn't give it. So Dread King. So for Monster Hunter Stories 2.
For Stories 2?
Yeah. One of my favorite monsters of all time, Molten Tigrex. He is so good in the game. He just came out with the hard version of Call Taroth on the 30th, so the other day. October 7th is when Dread King Rathalos is coming, or Spam Lorn, as I like to call him. Fatalis co-op only is coming on October 21st. These are Japanese dates, so it might be the 20th.
And by the way,
in the West.
The Dread, I think the Dread King. So on the 7th, I think that also comes with an Elder Den quest. Right? Elder Dragon Den or something like that quest?
Yeah, so it comes with the Elder Dragon quest then, and also just the regular old, fight the Molten Tigrex hunt as well.
Yeah, but if you want to get, the...
Elder Dragons.
If you want to get Elder Dragon genes, this will be easy.
Yeah,
but
so
then
I like
with Fatalis comes with a Deviant Den, I think, right?
He comes with a Deviant cave quest, so it'll be easier to collect the Deviants. And then that's on the 21st, again, Japan time, so it could be a day earlier for you. Yeah. And then at the end of October, on the 28th, is when they're going to have Silver and Gold for Rathalos, which is funny that they're coming a week after Fatalis. Is kind of funny to me. Yeah. Just from the fact that it's Legendary Black Dragon. Afterwards, Silver Rathalos. But man, Silver Rathalos looks so good. The model looks so clean. The silver, the red, the white. Oh my God, I love it. I need it on my team.
And he has a different version of the kinship attack where he's actually breathing fire out of his mouth when he's coming down. So that's cool too.
He looks
as
cool.
Opposed to just the claw thing the Rathalos usually does. I'm assuming that either him or Dread King Rathalos is going to be the ones to get that Valiant. No, it's not Valiant Flare. It's the thing that gives you 30 kinship from Ratha. There's a gene that gives you 30 kinship that Ratha has.
I forgot about that.
And no other monster has it in the game right now. So it's either going to be Dread King or Silver Los that is probably going to bring that one, I would imagine.
Yeah, and imagine we'll finally get our Divine Blessing XL with Golden Rathian. So did you do the Call of Taroth hard quest yet?
No.
Because I'm very curious. I saw something mention that you can make things that normally you can't make. So it makes me think, is there a beta armor for her armor or something? I don't know, because I haven't beaten her yet because Yuna can't beat her because of this game system. And I don't want to do what all the Japanese players are doing, which is they're just going in there solo and having Roberto pop up as a random NPC and then just kill her.
How do you get Roberto to pop up as a random NPC?
I think you host it as a co-op and then you either just start it or you purposely disconnect or something and it gives you an NPC instead of your same level.
Yeah, but the NPCs that you get are the crappy
randomized.
Ones. That was actually one of my complaints.
People are apparently able to roll and get Roberto. I don't know how that's possible, but I guess it is. I'll have to try it, but I don't want to beat the quest without my daughter. So I might just need to do grinding for her. I won't grind for her.
You guys need to grind.
This weekend. She doesn't want to grind. I probably will grind for her, but I'm not happy about that system.
I feel her, dude. I don't want to grind either.
Yeah, I don't. But I got my Tiggy and I want to raise him because he was a really fun hunt. I think he was no, I'm not going to spoil it. Never mind. Don't go. He just came out. Go face him. There's something he does that other monsters don't do, which I found really fun. And he's really well done. And his weapons look so cool. So that's the TGS, though. I mean, overall, I'm very happy with what we got. I just wish they didn't make it feel like it was going to be a Sunbreak TGS because it wasn't. And that's fine. They just needed to say that. So tailor your expectations. Please help us do that, Capcom. And I'm looking forward to when they might share the actual news for Sunbreak because it looks dope. And that's my thoughts on it all.
Yeah. And with that, we're probably going to be wrapping it up in this Third Flip podcast. A little bit shorter than usual, guys, but both of us are also sleep deprived and we had a tough week and it's a weird recording schedule for us to make do with this TGS stuff. So if you guys enjoyed it, as per usual, like button. If you didn't enjoy it, dislike button, all of that jazz. As per usual, all Gaijin stuff in the description of this video. What are you working on next, by the way? Soul Sacrifice?
I'm so busy right now that I don't know what I'm working on. There's so much stuff I want to do on YouTube. I just can't do it right now. I'm too busy.
Yeah.
What I am working on is I have a secret project that's Soul Sacrifice related. The thing is I'm very torn about this. I'm torn about it because I know that the majority of people, the feedback I get is that, wow, Soul Sacrifice looks really cool. I didn't know about Delta. Okay, But there's a lot of people saying, I don't have a Vita, and Vitas in my country are expensive. PlayStation TVs are expensive. So honestly, me making
it's hard making
strategy guides 7.5 years late is going to be stupidly pointless.
Yes.
But I do want to make some videos that are helpful, because there's a lot of information that's not out there, because when it came out, it just wasn't loved as it should have been, and there wasn't enough bilingual people to sift through the Japanese stuff and share some of the information that was unknown. So I've been debating on how to do it, but I think I found a way. I found a good video idea that will, I hope, set the stage of what the game is about. And it's like, if you enjoyed this, you don't have to know the game to enjoy it. There's a hell of a lot better stuff in the actual game that I plan to cover. So please follow me and join me on this playlist. And then I will start doing some Soul Sacrifice content 7.5 years late. And it's going to be, and I'll get 1,000 views. I don't care. I like it a lot. I love it. And it's going to be fun.
If anybody can do it, it's you. If anybody can do it, it's you, buddy.
I'm telling you, if I can get to a point that I think even a stupid online petition might actually get some traction, I'll make it. I'm not doing it yet, though. I haven't gone out there to PR the game yet, and I want to. I want people to know what they've missed, because it is a sin that they have missed it. And I want to give them a way to enjoy the story, whether it's uploading videos of the story or whatever. I got to find ways to get people have to realize how wonderful this game is. So I'm going to do my best. But it's just playing lots of Soul Sacrifice Delta and catching up in stories too. Xbox game streaming and console streaming just came into beta here in Japan today. So I was going to test that out. But I think we've been gaming pretty hardcore. So I think we're just going to finish up Monster Hunter 4G and then just sort of take a break before we go into 3G. Don't want to overgame ourselves to death. How about you? What are you playing?
I fell into this hole of MMOs, and I'm playing this New World MMO from Amazon, which it's got some problems. It's not the most perfect game ever made, but
it's not critically acclaimed with a free trial that goes all the way up through 60 hours of content.
No, it's not. As a matter of fact, like, for a company with such amazing servers, it's actually been a pretty abysmal experience in terms of like queues and stuff. As a matter of fact, during this podcast, I was even like every now and then just alt-tabbing into the game and like moving my character a little bit, because I can't, if I disconnect from this server, I can't play the game for the rest of the day.
Oh, no.
It's that bad. But I'm still having fun with the game, and
that's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing it until it stops being fun. Because at the end of the day, this game's like $40. It's $40. I'll play it until it's not fun, and then I'll stop playing it. It's that simple.
Sounds good.
But yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then I think that this is probably gonna carry me until closer to Endwalker in November, and then that's gonna be all I'm playing pretty much.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's gonna be it for this podcast. We'll see you guys in the next one. Keep your shields up, Iron Breakers. Stay strong. Stay safe. Peace out. Actually, no, wait. Stay strong. Stay safe.
And peace out.